members. I want to talk about a delicate subject that is often before our agenda. And again, this is not agendized, not up for debate, but I want to use this forum to put forward some thoughts on a very, very important topic. The governor of the state of California tonight just finished his State of the State speech, where he talked about California and some about division. And he talked about the importance of, as he put it, rejecting binary choices. That most things are not either or, and that there are always, if not middle ground, ways to address problems that don't polarize communities and don't leave some people behind or out. And so tonight I want to raise a different perspective on the encampment issue. And it's one, frankly, that I don't think we have talked enough about. For our homeless population is not a monolith. And when it comes to enforcement, in my view, our policy cannot be either we sweep large groups of people or we do nothing. And of course, the coin of the realm is what we are still working towards, which is to build more capacity and create more capacity for people to end their homelessness. So while we wait and work on attaining the easement for the 102 acres in South Sacramento, while we continue to work, and we are working, including this week, on the large unnamed Central City site, while we continue to stand up more safe ground and other larger siting opportunities, while we grow the Department of Community Response, which we just put millions of dollars towards that department to help them increase their non-law enforcement related outreach. And while we continue to solidify our partnership with the county, there still is the issue of the safety and the health of people and our communities around these growing tent encampments. Now, I know we have debated back and forth the city's policy of sweeping or moving large numbers of people from business corridors or neighborhoods. And obviously, some of us differ on this question. I have been clear, and I know all of you have been clear on your opinions. I've been clear on my opinion, and it's this. Until we can offer people a safe place to go, it is not right, and it is merely whack-a-mole to sweep large numbers of people, scattering them throughout the city. And of course, I hear what others say, and I hear the frustration, even if I disagree with their solution. Others say that the conditions of some of these encampments are so unsafe and unhealthy that there are no better alternatives. And so I think we need to recognize the following. The vast majority of unsheltered people are suffering. They are victims of abject poverty, or they are sick, dealing with serious mental health issues and or substance abuse issues. And at the same time, in some cases, there are legitimate concerns about criminal activity. Too many people are being released from our county jail, for example, without any kind of plan or care or housing or shelter for them when they are released. And many of them end up in our tent encampments. And it is true, I think we have to acknowledge that there are people, not the majority by any means, but there are some people in some of these encampments who prey on others. Whether it's open air drug dealing, which is apparently legendary. I hear about it everywhere. I've heard reports, of course, we all have reports of sexual assault of innocent people, homeless people being victimized in some of these unsafe settings. And obviously, there are incidents where neighbors and businesses who are not homeless are being victimized by some of the same people. We have a great new police chief in this city and an opportunity for a fresh look at this problem and the potential of a new approach. And so I want to ask the question tonight, can we use law enforcement? I know that's not going to be a popular question in some circles, and I understand that, but can we use law enforcement, sworn police officers, to actually arrest people who are engaged in serious violations of the criminal law? Not possessing drugs, not using drugs, but selling drugs, large amounts of drugs, and committing violent acts against other people. And at the same time, can we substitute out this strategy of sweeping everybody in a particular corridor where we are not distinguishing, in my view, those who are engaging in illegal and or serious nuisance related behaviors and those who are merely just trying to survive? So I want to ask the following questions. Can we potentially reconstitute our impact teams to make some high profile arrests of people who are selling drugs and or engaging in illegal activity? This is not an unprecedented approach and distinction here in the city of Sacramento. I remember when I was a young council member back in 1992, when we put forward the POP program, problem-oriented policing. And what was the idea behind POP? POP involved law enforcement, code enforcement, focusing on buildings, physical buildings. They could be housing units or housing complexes, where some people were victimizing the rest of the population by selling drugs or engaging in nuisance-related behavior. And what did our police do? They arrested the people engaged in the illegal behavior, and they did not evict or hassle the people who were living in the same complex, in the same housing unit, who were being victimized by some of the people living as their neighbors. POP is a good model. If it can work for physical buildings, why can't a problem-oriented policing approach work for these tent encampments? Allow DCR to do their work to help navigate people who are not engaged in these behaviors, the vast majority, into the 102 acres, into the new downtown site, into expanded capacity, into services with led by our county partners, and then let the police come on in a very targeted and limited way and focus on the people who are engaging in real crime. Now, I know the arguments. I've heard them. Police need to witness the acts of drug dealing in order to be able to get the people out who are preying on the homeless people. That's not the way crime is investigated throughout our city when it's a priority. I'm sorry, there's a crime in a residential neighborhood, the police interview witnesses and they take forensic evidence and they do whatever they have to do. And what I'm saying here, again, if this issue, which I've said for 5 years is our number one issue, I've fought with my head has dents in it. I've been banging my head against that wall so hard to say we need more capacity, and we're maybe on the verge of some breakthroughs. But by the same token, if this is a priority on the capacity end, then it should be a priority when it comes to enforcing the law, not against people who are, quote, technically trespassing, or people who are just trying to survive, but people who are preying on them. It's not a low priority call, or at least it shouldn't be. It should be a higher priority call. I hear the argument that the police themselves will be criticized. Well, I'm telling you right now, as the progressive mayor of this city, that I would stand behind our law enforcement officials who do some high-profile arrests of anyone accused of sexually assaulting innocent women or men out on the streets of Sacramento. I will stand behind the police if they make any high-profile arrest of people selling methamphetamine or fentanyl or any of these other awful drugs. I hear the argument, no one will prosecute. Well, I'm sorry. I'm not going to digress on Prop 47. I urge you to read today's Los Angeles Times editorial and become informed that in Texas, for example, conservative Texas, the line that's drawn in terms of the difference between a felony and a misdemeanor is $2,500. It's $950. $950 in California. Can't use Prop 47 as an excuse for everything. When someone's selling drugs, when someone is preying on other people, they should be held accountable. The governor just put forward a very interesting proposal that I think is going to enable us, if done right, to be able to collaborate more with the county to get at the people who desperately need help in these encampments and get them the treatment, the shelter, and the housing that they need. But we need a new paradigm here. We need a new paradigm because I'm frankly tired of, as you are all, taking all the heat. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of taking all the heat when we don't yet have the alternatives that we want to have. And I'm tired of taking the heat because of the cleanliness and the safety issues in our city. And so all I'm asking for is consideration of a different approach. I think a more logical approach. Don't sweep people indiscriminately and move people, especially people who have no place to go, who are not violating any real criminal law. But come down hard on people who are victimizing the homeless and the rest of our community. And let's engage with Chief Lester. Let's engage with DCR, and let's come up with a plan that changes this paradigm and this Hobson's choice of either we sweep until we have capacity, or we just are hands off because we don't have yet a place to put people and to treat them. I thank you. It's my job as your mayor to try to be a thought leader and a thoughtful leader and to provoke some discussion. And I don't want to let this just sit. I'm pleased that we are making progress on the siting, even though the public doesn't yet see it. I know we're on the verge of some significant breakthroughs. We are waiting for the help from the Job Corps on the easement on the 102 acres. We are meeting intensively this week on the downtown site, and we're continuing to build our partnership with the county. But we just can't sit idle while our city continues to suffer. And where I come from politically and otherwise, and I put capacity in helping the people first. But that is not inconsistent with hearing that 4 people are being sexually assaulted and open air drug dealing, and we don't have an approach to that. No, we gotta find a different and a better way. So I thank you for hearing me out. I look forward to a further discussion with the chief, with the manager, with my colleagues. Obviously, a public discussion, and that we continue to be the city that is compassionate, but at the same time, we don't let people prey on others. Thanks.
Mayor, can I ask for just a bit of clarity on this? Are you asking this to be agendized for discussion of the council?
Yes, but I think I want yes, I do. But I think I want this to be take some care here. I wanted to, and I know that the chief, the new chief, is full of good ideas and is working. I know is thinking through a lot of ideas, and I want her to have some lead in this, obviously, in suggesting what a smart approach would be here. And I know there is a real danger in everything I said tonight being misinterpreted by one side or the other. I just know it. But so be it. I'm going to speak my truth. I'm not a force against innocent people or I voted for every criminal justice reform bill in the land in the world, and I would continue to. But that in our polarized politics in Sacramento, in the state, and in this country, it's like you're either for one or the other, and that's just not the truth. And I'm just talking about violent crime here, or the sale of drugs, because both to me fall under the category of requiring a law enforcement response and to protect people and to protect our communities. And we're not doing that for a lot of the reasons. There's a lot of fear. The police are fear of being criticized, as I said, fear of being criticized. There is, the issue of will people be prosecuted? I mean, there are a lot of questions that you can't necessarily answer, but it doesn't mean we shouldn't try to distinguish between those who are causing terrible problems to others and those who are truly victims. And by the way, I say it one more time so I'm not misunderstood. In my opinion, the vast, vast, vast majority of people out on our streets are the victims. But there are a few out there, and we gotta be smart enough and nuanced enough and strategic enough to be able to distinguish between those few and the vast majority. And with the sweeps, as I've said earlier, I don't think we've done that. I don't think we've done that carefully enough.
So, again, and I'll leave it alone after this. I don't want this conversation to be misconstrued either. So we are going to have a conversation, bringing something back to the council for consideration. But until such time, our enforcement posture stands.
Well, I understand that the city council spoke loud and clear on the 14th of December. I disagree vehemently and respect it because that was the will of the majority. But I'm asking here for consideration of a more thoughtful approach, and I'm not going to plan to bring back my own unilateral resolution in 2 weeks. I'm not doing that. Okay, I'm putting this out there. And I want to work with you and the council and the police chief to have a strategic approach to protecting people in these tent encampments and better protecting people in the city.